Vinyl community, hello, hello. Doing a quick, hopefully short vinyl update. Got two packages today. One was from Girder Records with a pre-order, which I'll reveal that one first. And I got some more records from my buddy Ron Haggerty down in Florida, so I will open up and share out that package. So I'm going to start off with the Girder Records. When things pop up for pre-order, if it's something I'm like, bang, I've got to have that like as soon as possible, then I do the pre-order and live pretty close to where the stuff comes from Girder. I believe it's North Carolina, so typically I get the stuff pretty quickly, and so I've already had a chance to listen to the vinyl. I got both of the record and the CD of this. An artist that I've got just about everything that he's released. Gentleman that's been around since the early 80s, and big band. Started off with big band, then kind of did his solo thing and some soundtrack stuff, and he's still around. But man, he's more really well known for producing, and was involved in production with his brother in a lot of bands during the, I guess, very late 80s and through a good portion of the 90s. Real big fan. He does live in Nashville, as his brother does. I have not had a chance to see him live yet, hoping that will change sometime in the near future. And the gentleman I am talking about is John Elefante, and this is a 2-record collection of his solo material. And also, you see the elephant there on the page there. John and his brother Dino were kind of did a project where they pulled in some other musicians during the 90s, after they had done a lot of session work with other bands, and they had the band Mastodon. Now, this was before the sludge progressive metal band that came out of Atlanta, before they formed, I would say, definitely before they were known by anybody. That's a great band in their own right, but I love Mastodon, both of the albums. So there's a good number of songs, a handful of songs from the 2 albums on here, a lot of John's solo stuff. There is some Kansas tunes that John did when he was in the band Kansas, because he had 2 albums with them, and then he covers Dust in the Wind, which I think I've heard him do live before, kind of a bootleg that I have, DVD. But yeah, this is a reworked version, and there's also re-recorded Chasing Shadows. I guess I need to look at the CD to be able to tell you how many tracks total. There's 10 on the first CD, and then there are, it looks like, 9 on the second one. So you're looking at 29 tracks there, or no, math. Yeah, that's why I don't. 19. So they got 9 on the second one. So you got a total of 19 tracks spread out over. Record sounded really good. Haven't played the CD yet, but I've got most of the tracks on the individual albums, and this one is on gold. I don't know if there's any other variants. If you are interested, if you maybe you don't want to go buying up all the individual albums that John's put out, you've heard a few of his songs and you like them, this is probably the way to go, because you're getting all of his great songs on here. There's Fight Fire with Fire, again, that's Kansas track. And one of my favorites, one of his later solo albums, This Time. Corridors, On My Way to the Sun, which is a really great track. So yeah, I recommend. Great it's not metal. I mean, it's hard rock, maybe a little bit of progressive. You know, some of the Kansas vibes do come through on some of John's, especially his later albums. So support Girder, great company. All right, let's move on to the package. I've got a blade handy. I did not pre-open, but I know what's in here. Don't know what the order will be, so we'll be surprised together as I pull out one record at a time. It's Mr. Ron again trying to lighten his collection of vinyl, and he's been purchasing up a lot of stuff on CD. So replacing some of his records with CD copies and picking up some other stuff. So this is going to be a mix. This is not all metal. I'm gonna have some other good stuff in here. So first one, definitely not metal, but I think a lot of metal bands and certainly goth fans, alternative punk would definitely credit this band and have good things to say about them. Dead Can Dance, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. I've got this on CD, but wanted to have a vinyl copy. This is probably one of their better known albums. I think this might be their third or fourth. The first one was good, a little punkier. Second one doesn't quite grab me, but everything on from that, even their later stuff, the last two that they came out with, I enjoy. It's hard to pigeonhole their sound. There's definitely, they started off very gothy. I guess some people might label new age. I don't. To me, it's not new agey. It's very reminds me of Lorena McKennitt, just very world. You know, a lot of they utilize a lot of instruments, maybe Gaelic instruments. They definitely have some Irish stuff thrown in there. Some maybe African, Middle Eastern. They really mix it up, and so some of the music could have a little bit of a spooky aspect to it, but you can't judge a book by its cover, and it's maybe not as creepy as the album cover would make some think. So really great band. Of course, the main singer, the woman, I can't remember her name. She's done a lot of soundtrack work. All right, next up, well, just pulling this out randomly. Next, we're going to switch to some metal, and one that I did not have on vinyl. I do have, this is Lizzie Borden, Master of Disguise, originally released in 1989. I've got this on a anniversary CD, DVD. Actually, it's, I think, 2 CDs and 1 DVD. So I'm familiar with the material. Love Lizzie Borden, just great 80s, 90s, and I guess into the 2000s, heavy metal. In the same realm as some of the Alice Cooper and Wasp style metal. And this one is 2 records, so they got the whole album on there. And it looks like this was a repress in 2021. So I didn't ask Ron for any of the specifics, so I don't know variants. Don't know colors, so this is all kind of a reveal here. It looks like a blue swirl. So kind of hard to tell with the glare there, but it is a blue with a little bit of maybe a white kind of marble there. I think we can get a little bit of that feel there. And that is disc 1. I would imagine this is going to be the same color variant, but we will give a quick look here. And this is a gatefold, which I don't know. Yeah, we got the same color. I'm not sure if the original pressing from '89 was a gatefold, but looks like we've got lyrics there and maybe some thank yous and credits. I do believe I saw maybe a poster. We haven't revealed yet who released this, but I have a feeling it is Metal Blade Records, because they typically will throw in a poster. And wow, big So looks like that one was put up already, but I typically don't put up the posters. If a record comes with a poster or promo, I typically will keep it with the record. I've got enough other things to go up on the wall that I don't need to separate the extras that come in the records. So that, I think, just about completes my Lizzie Borden collection on vinyl. I think I'm still missing one. I've got, between the records and CDs, I think I've got all the major releases. I'll put that back in the sleeve later. But I've got, yeah, other than, some promo stuff, 7 inches, I think I don't have anything, but all the major releases I've got. Here's another band. I've got this on CD, but I really wanted a copy on vinyl. I've been listening to a lot of Les Claypool and Primus and all of his bands, and so yeah, I never got around to getting Pork Soda on vinyl. It's a really great album. And again, I have a feeling this is probably a later pressing. Don't know if it was even pressed originally, because this one came out, I think, maybe 90, it says 93. So we all know vinyl was not really being pressed here in the States, maybe Europe. So this is definitely a later pressing. There was a date on there, 2018. So yeah, and most of my Primus collection is all represses. So we got the black vinyl, which works for me. Double vinyl, Prawn Song, of course, kind of a play off of Led Zeppelin. And let's see, My Name is Mud, Bob, DMV, really cool song. Pork Soda, of course. Mr. Crinkle, Hamburger Train. Who hasn't been on the Hamburger Train before? Really cool album. All right, next one. A band that I couldn't be a metalhead and not own this already, and I've had multiple copies on CD, and I've got a live version of this album on CD and VHS, and I did get a vinyl copy of it, but it was a cutout, so the cover's missing a good chunk of the corner, and the vinyl wasn't in the best of condition. So I thought, well, Ron's selling his, I'm gonna take it off his hands and maybe wind up with a better copy. I mean, the one I have is an OG, but it's, there were so many pressings during the 80s of bands that just because you have an OG, it could be an OG from later in the year from when it was originally pressed. So I'm getting another copy of Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime, an album dear to my heart. So around the time I was getting into metal, really heavy. So, Metallica, Anthrax, Queensryche, dipping my toes in with some other bands like Fate's Warning. This album meant so much to me. And so, yeah, just I'm okay with having another copy, and it's nice to have one that has all 4 corners. So not sure about the pressing on this one. And, that's an adventure for another time to look and see. It says 1988 on the back, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be a later press. But then again, it now feels it's kind of a thick. It's not a light, wimpy pressing here. So, and I don't know, some of you that may own this, I don't know if you have an OG copy. Is that the inner label that you would expect from one of the originals? I have to compare it with the one I have, but looks like it's in very, very good condition. So I can't wait to put that one on the turntable. And I believe I got one more here. And so just like, we started the realm of heavy metal, and so here's another goth band, and this was the first album from this band, this UK band, that I ever listened to. I was telling Ron, I remember going to the public library in Vero Beach, Florida, and they had CDs that you could borrow. And I can remember getting a Clash CD, and there was another band, I can't remember who. I thought it was another punk band, but Clash, this other band, and The Cure. And I knew some friends that listened to them, but I wasn't familiar with their music. And so my first one was Disintegration, and I made a copy of it on, illegally on a cassette. And I was shocked by how good it was. It was out of the norm for what I listened to, but just really good music. Some of it's spooky, and and then after that, years later, I went back and purchased their earlier stuff. But so yeah, I've never had this on vinyl. I've got one of the later presses. I think it's a 2-disc version that has a bunch of extras, remixes or demos and whatnot. But the core album is you don't need all that extra stuff. It's already a long album. It's 2-sided, or 2 records. I don't know. I don't remember how many tracks there are, but again, I don't know. If the original, or at least I don't know if the original U.S. pressing was a gatefold, or sometimes the European and the UK versions are gatefold, and here in America we get 2 records crammed into one sleeve. But I'm fine with it being a later pressing, and it's got looks like it's got the inner sleeves, and Ron's good about taking the records and putting them in the static free sleeves. So you got the original. I appreciate that. So good job, Ron. And thank you, buddy, for allowing me to be the new home for some of your record collection. And so yeah, I've got a bunch of The Cure on record now, and that was one. I think there's maybe only one other that I really want to get that I don't have on CD. I can't remember the name of it, but I don't have it on CD or record, so always going to be I'll be on the lookout for that. But so there you go. There's my short 17-minute plus update, but one new one from Girder and a few from Brother Ron. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments if there's a band that I mentioned that you're into, or if you listen to The Cure, what's your favorite album? Dead Can Dance, have you ever listened to them? What do you like the earlier stuff? Do you like the later stuff? Do you like it all? What's your thoughts on Primus? Just throw a quick comment. I appreciate you guys that typically do leave little comments. I always try and make sure I respond to everybody. So appreciate the support. Thank you for everybody that has clicked and followed. And what else can I say? Appreciate your watching, and God bless you. Thank you. Have a good night, and hopefully hear from you all soon. Bye.